Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Monday, July 11th, 2022. Welcome to day 538. A federal judge refused to delay Steve Bannon's trial on charges of criminal contempt of Congress. After refusing to cooperate with a congressional subpoena from the January 6th committee for nearly 9 months, Bannon informed the panel over the weekend that he is now willing to testify. Bannon's reversal comes after he suggested that Trump had waived his claim of executive privilege and permitted him to testify. Prosecutors, however, disclosed Monday that Trump's attorney Justin Clark told them Trump, quote, never invoked executive privilege over any particular information or materials, end quote, and that Bannon's lawyer, quote, misrepresented to the committee what the former president's counsel had told the defendant's attorney, end quote. The DOJ told the federal judge that Bannon's last-minute offer to testify was a, quote, last-ditch attempt to avoid accountability, end quote, and that it was irrelevant to whether he would be prosecuted for contempt. Bannon's trial is set to begin on July 18th for 2 counts of criminal contempt. Meanwhile, a Fulton County judge ordered Lindsey Graham to testify before the special grand jury in Georgia, which is investigating Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Judge Robert McBurney described Graham as a necessary and material witness to the grand jury and ordered him to testify on August 2nd. The grand jury wants to hear about 2 phone calls that Graham allegedly made to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, asking him to begin, quote, re-examining certain absentee ballots cast in Georgia in order to explore the possibility of a more favorable outcome for former President Donald Trump, end quote. Moving on, the FDA is reviewing its first ever application for an over-the-counter birth control pill, more than 60 years after the hormone-based pills were approved by the FDA. The pills have always required a prescription. HRA Pharma officials said they expect an FDA decision in about 10 months, which is typical for over-the-counter applications, meaning that it could take until mid-2023 for the drug Opill to be on the shelves. Meanwhile, Biden called the Supreme Court out of control and said its decision to overturn the constitutional right to an abortion was, quote, an exercise in raw political power, end quote. He then signed an executive order that aims to ensure the safety of abortion patients and providers, as well as access to the procedure through mobile clinics near the borders of states that restrict access. In Wisconsin, the state's Supreme Court ruled that most ballot drop boxes are not allowed in the state, just a month before the state's primary elections. The court also ruled that voters are required to physically return their own absentee ballots, meaning a voter cannot have someone else return their completed absentee ballot on their behalf. And finally, the latest Omicron subvariant of the coronavirus has quickly become the dominant strain in the United States, according to the CDC. In the U.S., BA.5 now accounts for about 54% of all COVID-19 infections. The BA.5 variant is highly transmissible and managed to at least partially skip past some of the immune defenses that are acquired through prior infections and from vaccines. And in the polls, the New York Times and Bloomberg says 64% of Democratic voters want someone other than Biden to run for president in 2024, while 26% said they prefer Biden to be their party's candidate. Of the 64% of respondents who wanted a different Democratic candidate, 33% cited Biden's age as the reason. At 79 years old, Biden is the oldest president in United States history. But in a hypothetical matchup, however, Biden still beats Trump 44 to 41%. And Gallup says 33% of voters say Biden deserves to be reelected, while 67% say he doesn't deserve a second term. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.